Good morning to all. In our last class, we have discussed about adenosine monophosphate. That is a nucleotide formation of adenosine monophosphate we have discussed. So monophosphate or nucleotide consists of an base, sugar and phosphate group. So base is attached to the sugar at first position, and what a phosphate group is attached to the fifth carbon. So with the elimination, in both the cases, the attachment or the linkage is due to the removal of H2O molecule. When base is attached to the sugar, that is nitrogen of base is attached to the sugar. So you can observe here. So the nitrogen of base is attached to the sugar there. Nitrogen of base is attached to the sugar or carbon. So it is with the glycosidic, N-glycosidic linkage. So likewise, if at all, if you consider this one, so it is a ester. It is an ester linkage, a phosphoester linkage. Phosphoric acid through oxygen, it is bonded. Carbon is bonded there to phosphate group through oxygen. It is an ester linkage. So we can easily analyze and understand the things here. We'll move on to the next one. So it is monophosphate we have discussed. Next we'll move on to the formation of an dinucleotide or a diphosphate it is. So you can observe here. So that is the one nucleotide. One nucleotide is there. So likewise one more nucleotide is present. These two nucleotides are going to bond with one another to form an dinucleotide. So how it is forming a bond, you can observe. So the oxygen of phosphate group of one nucleotide is bonding with the third carbon of another nucleotide. So we can make out, so the third carbon of another nucleotide. Third carbon of another nucleotide is bonded with oxygen of a phosphate group of first nucleotide. So that is what called phosphodiester linkage. So why it is diester? So it is oxygen here, again it is oxygen here. So two ester linkages through phosphate group. So that's why it is named as phosphodiester linkage. I hope it is clear. So we have the phosphodiester linkage. So here also same thing. So we have CH2, fifth CH2 group, that is already done. That is when it is forming a nucleotide. So this is fifth carbon bonding with oxygen of phosphoric acid or phosphate group. That is already done. The new bond formation is the oxygen of phosphate group of one nucleotide is with the third carbon of another nucleotide. So this is bonded with two oxygen atom. Through two oxygen atoms the bond is present. So that's why it is called as phosphodiester linkage, and it is an formation of dinucleotide. Likewise the chain is going to continue. So here third carbon is there, another phosphate group of nucleotide is going to bond. Likewise here fifth carbon, that is phosphate group, is free. This phosphate group will be attached, forming a bond with the third carbon of another nucleotide molecule. So likewise the chain is going to increase. So more number of nucleotides are there, then it is called as trinucleotide. If it is 3, then it is trinucleotide. So likewise the bond is going to increase. So many number of nucleotides join to one another to form an nucleic acid here. I hope it is clear. So nucleotides, like this nucleotides, many number of nucleotides is going to join to one another through phosphodiester linkages and forms an nucleic acids. So that is what the structure here. You can observe here a simplified version of nucleic acid chain. So we have sugar, phosphate and a base. It is going to n number of we call that one as monomer or a simplest unit or an we can, in general, we can say that as monomer, but in actual we can call that one as nucleotide. Many nucleotide molecules are bonded to one another through an ester linkage. Through an ester linkage, or we can call that one as phosphodiester linkages. So, or phosphodiesteric bond, it is going to form a long chain, and that long chain is named as nucleic acid. So, we have come across with the different names here, that is monoadenosine monophosphate. So we have studied in our last cases, so adenosine monophosphate, adenosine diphosphate, so you can make out, we have studied in our last class all those things. Adenosine diphosphate, adenosine triphosphate, adenosine monophosphate. Likewise, we can also name that one as, if at all, if it is uracil is present, the base present is uracil, then uridine diphosphate. Likewise, if at all, if the sugar unit is deoxy, then we can name that one as deoxyadenosine monophosphate, deoxyadenosine diphosphate, like that. So based upon the base and the sugar is going to change, so the name also is going to change. So the number of phosphate groups will be named in terms of di, tri or penta, like that. I hope it is clear. Next, so this is about the nucleic acids. We have studied nucleic acid structures, and we have seen also nucleic acids are of two types, that is DNA and RNA. So when you move on to the when you want to study about the nucleic acid structure, so there the nucleic acids are discussed based upon the primary and secondary structures. So what are these primary structures? So primary structures are the one, so which is going to give an idea about the sequence. It is going to give us an idea about the sequence or arrangement. So that is what the primary structure does. So the definition of that primary structure is the sequence in which the 4 nitrogenous bases are attached to the sugar phosphate backbone in a nucleotide chain. So we have, whenever we consider either DNA or RNA, DNA consists of 4 bases and RNA consists of 4 bases. So the sequential arrangement of these bases, how it is. So here we have, generally we have written as base here. So which base, after which base, next which base will be coming. After that, which base will be coming. It is not like the same base will be present on the entire chain. So DNA is consisting of 4 different bases. That is, 3 is common, only 1 is different there. So RNA is consisting of 3 common and 1 different base there. So total 4 bases are present. That sequential arrangement of those nitrogenous bases, which is attached to sugar and an phosphate group, that sequential arrangement gives us the primary structure. So it is nothing but a primary structure of nucleic acid. So likewise, the secondary structure will study later. Next, DNA. So DNA is nothing but it is a group of molecules that is responsible for carrying and transmitting the hereditary materials or the genetic instructions from parents to offsprings. So that is DNA is the one which is responsible for the transformation of genetic character from parents to the child or children, we can say. So here DNA is made up of 2 strands. You can observe in the diagram there. It is made up of 2 strands. That is strand, this is the first strand and this is the second strand. So we can say that it is 3' ended. So it is ended with an 3' carbon here. So here it is ended with the 5'. So likewise, so we have 3' and 5' positions actually. So that what does this indicates? What does this 3' and 5' exactly indicates is we have free hydroxyl groups of the terminal. That is nothing but free OH groups are present. So in this the whatever the sugar is present, that is deoxyribose sugar we have. So in that deoxyribose sugar, so the third carbon, that is third carbon in the pentose sugar where OH is free. On the third carbon OH is free. So here we can say that, so in this strand, so the pentose sugar with a fifth carbon with OH free there. So OH is not involved in any linkages there. OH is free there. So that is what 3' and 5' indicates. I hope it is clear now. So this is one strand. This is one nucleotide. This one nucleotide chain it is, or one polynucleotide chain actually it is. So likewise we have one more polynucleotide chain. Or we can say that this is one nucleic acid, this is one strand of nucleic acid, and that is another strand of nucleic acid. We have two nucleic acid strands we have. So we know that DNA consists of, DNA contains adenine, guanine, thymine and cytosine. So adenine is equals to thymine. Likewise cytosine is equals to guanine. So here you can observe adenine and cytosine and thymine and guanine we have. So in this, adenine is bonded to thymine and cytosine is bonded to guanine. So that is nothing but purines, number of purines is equals to number of pyrimidines. So which are all pyrimidines? Thymine and guanine are pyrimidines. So adenine and cytosine are purines. So adenine of one strand is bonded to thymine. So you can observe in the diagram. That is adenine is bonded to thymine. Likewise guanine is bonded to cytosine. What all these bonds? These bonds are nothing but hydrogen bond. So there is an hydrogen bond formation between an adenine base to thymine base, likewise guanine to cytosine. So we can easily make out here two hydrogen bonds are there. Here three hydrogen bonds are present between guanine and cytosine. 3 hydrogen bonds, and between adenine and thymine 2 hydrogen bonds are present. So if it is being calculated, so how many number of adenine and guanine are present? Total adenine and guanine are present. The same number of cytosine and thymine also will be present. I hope it is clear. But AT by GC, that is adenine into thymine divided by guanine into cytosine, that is different. So we are going to study that one in our competitive bids we have. So that is AT by GC is different there. So that is nothing but AT is different and GC is different. Okay, but A is equals to T and C is equals to G. That ratio is different, I said, but the number of adenine is equals to the number of number of adenine is equals to the number of thymine. Likewise cytosine is equals to guanine. So we have seen the structure of DNA. DNA is having double stranded. So each strand, each one strand is been it is being called in an helical structure. So that's why it has been called as alpha helix structure of DNA, or we can also call that one as double alpha helical structure, double two stranded. So that's why it is called as double alpha helical structure or double alpha helix structure. So this double helical structure is being given by Crick and Wilkins. So that is based upon the X-ray studies. They have given this structures, and for that they have also been given a Nobel Prize. They got, or they shared the Nobel Prize for that structure also. So when you check a structure there, two different strands are there. So these two strands are held together one another by these hydrogen bonds itself. So 3 hydrogen bond existing between cytosine and guanine, and 2 hydrogen bonds between thymine and adenine. So here the main important thing is these hydrogen bonds are very much responsible for holding these structures, holding these strands. And the strands are nothing but they are complementary to one another. Complementary in the sense, so the same position. So one strand, suppose in the first strand, if at all, if guanine is present, then at the same position in the second strand, cytosine should be present or cytosine will be present. That is what the sequential order, that sequential order is responsible. It is nothing but the sequential order is nothing but primary structure it is. Okay, so in the first strand, if guanine is present, likewise in second strand cytosine, likewise if at all if adenine is there, in the other strand there should be thymine. Then only it is going to form an hydrogen bond and held with one another. So such kind of strands, if it is present, then they are called as complementary strands. I hope it is clear. The complementary strands are present and they are held with one another through a double bond. And one more important thing is, so they are not only, not exactly in this structure only it will be present. It will be also having a folded structure also. Double helical structure only it is having. But later onwards, so as the length of this strands are going to increase, so like in the form of chromosomes in a cell, it might be present in unfolded or coiled form also. Why? Because so we have the study says that, so DNA in a cell, it is present around 4 meters. So the entire 4 meters of DNA is present in a cell, and that entire DNA is present in an coiled manner it is present, or it is in a folded pattern it is present. But there also same thing, so it is an alpha helical form only it is, but that as the length increases it gets folded on its own. But when you stretch that one, it will be exactly like this only, it will be resembling. Next one, the same thing, all these points whatever we have discussed now, it has been given, so you can observe the DNA in a clear manner. So where we have guanine and cytosine are bonded, likewise adenine and thymine are bonded. So adenine and thymine are bonded with 2 hydrogen bonds, and guanine and cytosine are bonded with 3 hydrogen bonds. So the stability of the helical structure is due to this hydrogen bonds. And one more important thing is hydrophobic interactions between the bases. There will be an interaction between the bases that also will be holding the strands with one another. And the length of all the hydrogen bonds are similar, because of which the exact helical structure will be formed. So if at all if hydrogen bond length is different, then once again the strand structure also is going to vary there. So the diameter of alpha helix structure is 2 nanometer. I hope it is clear. So the second point in the in the second point there, you are whatever you are observing now, that is melting point of E. coli is less than that of human beings. So that point we are going to discuss in our competitive part. So elaborately we can discuss. We have questions regarding that one. So the greater the number of GC pairs, greater will be the melting point of DNA. I hope it is clear. GC pairs nothing but guanine and cytosine, because guanine and cytosine there are 3 hydrogen bonds. When it is compared with adenine and thymine, it is more. So because more the hydrogen bonds, so melting point of DNA will be more. So next one. So that is how the hydrogen bonds will be present between the different bases. So we have guanine and cytosine. You can observe the hydrogen bond. So the first one is guanine there. So we have a guanine here. So that has been bonded to cytosine through 3 hydrogen bonds. You can observe the 3 hydrogen bonds present. Likewise, adenine and thymine. So we have 3 hydrogen bonds present. this nitrogen is bonded with, this nitrogen is not bonded here. So what, just a minute. The nitrogen, this nitrogen is bonded with, so the first and the second hydrogen, what a nitrogen only are bonded through the hydrogen bond here. So we have 2 hydrogen bonds present. So likewise 3 hydrogen bonds are present between the guanine and cytosine. Next, RNA. So RNA is a single stranded one. So there is no no much confusion, or there is no much confusion between the in the structures there. So RNA is a single strand, that is nothing but it is an long chain polymer, and it is going to consist of bases as adenine, guanine, uracil, and cytosine here. So thymine is not there. Thymine is present in DNA and uracil is present in RNA. So that is the very important thing you should remember. So like what are primary and secondary structures, apart from primary and secondary structures, DNA also have, as I said, DNA also have the what are coiled or folded form also. So next, RNA we are discussing. We have studied RNA has a single stranded one. So RNA contains adenine, guanine, uracil, and cytosine. So there are 3 different types. So when you come with an RNA structure, so what DNA structure we have studied, but RNA structure it is, and just like the just like the nucleic acid it is a single strand one. So it will be consisting of an phosphate group, sugar, and a base. Phosphate, sugar, and a base. Like that only the chain is going to form. So that's why the structure is not that much needed, because already we have studied that structure. The what a single stranded or what a polymeric chain structure we have already studied. So RNA molecules are of what are 3 types. They'll be forming and different functions. 3 different functions or 3 different types we have. So which are those? Those are messenger RNA, ribosomal RNA, and transfer RNA. So messenger RNA are also called as mRNA. So messenger RNA are nothing but the RNA which can pass the message from one cell to another cell, or from one site or one organ to another organ. So wherever we require and message has to be sent, so there this mRNA will be playing the role. So likewise ribosomal RNA. So rRNA is nothing but ribosomal RNA. These ribosomal RNA associates with a set of proteins to form ribosomes. And this is more biological. And what we require is, so it helps in that it combines, or it move along with mRNA. rRNA move along with mRNA and catalyze the assembly of amino acids into protein chains. That is nothing but, so a group of amino acids to be converted as proteins, it is going to catalyze that entire process. So messenger RNA, nothing but, so it sends the message. It takes the message from one cell to another cell. So likewise rRNA, it is going to catalyze the amino acids into protein chains. Likewise tRNA, that is transfer RNA. So transfer RNA is also going to transfer some of the important materials from one site to another site. So this tRNA is nothing but our transfer RNA. So it is going to take an polypeptide chain, a small, very smaller polypeptide chain. It is going to carry that, and it is going to transfer that smaller peptide chain or amide chain, amino acid chain, whatever is there. So that is what called as peptide chain or polypeptide chain. So that smaller polypeptide chain, to form a smaller polypeptide chain, it is going to transfer the particular amino acids to it. It has a site to bind that amino acids. So from one site amino acid it will be taking, it will be holding that amino acid, and it will be transferring that one to another site where the polypeptide chain synthesis is going to take place. So that is tRNA is a very smaller RNA which consists of only 80 nucleotides. So this is about the RNA. That is RNA consists of mRNA, rRNA and tRNA. Next one, the biological functions of nucleic acids. So the nucleic acids, biological functions of nucleic acids. So we have two different functions, that is a replication and a synthesis of proteins. Replication is nothing but the process by which a single DNA molecule is going to produce two identical, two similar, single DNA molecule is going to produce two identical copies of itself. So that is what called replication. So that is one of the very important things. So we know nucleic acids are of two types, DNA and RNA. In that, DNA is going to give the replication or a replicate of that one. It is going to produce so two identical copies of that one. So that is what responsible for the hereditary characteristics. So that is what the biological function of DNA or nucleic acid. That is one. So another one is protein synthesis. So it is another important feature of DNA. So that is synthesis of proteins. So like in this, the proteins are synthesized by RNA molecules in the cell, but the message for synthesis of a particular protein is given by DNA, or it is coded by DNA. So here DNA, you might be thinking only DNA I am telling, and what is the function of RNA? So actually RNA is going to synthesize the, we have seen. So that is message has to be sent. And one more thing is what rRNA is going to catalyze that protein synthesis, and the last one, that is tRNA, is going to transfer all the amino acids which is needed for the synthesis of an protein. So all these things RNA is going to do. That is, synthesis of proteins is being done by RNA molecule. So to synthesize that particular protein, the message will be given, or the message will be coded by DNA molecule. So until and unless the DNA sends the message for the synthesis, the protein won't be synthesized by RNA molecule. So in synthesizing these proteins, all the three types of RNA molecules will take part, and the major role it is going to play in the synthesis of proteins there. Next part, so that is DNA fingerprinting. So DNA is nothing but it is an double-stranded structure, I said. So the sequential arrangement is different from one another. Sequential arrangement of bases, whatever is there, so it is different from one another. So that sequence of bases are nothing but the sequential arrangement of bases, whatever is there. So that arrangement is going to give an information, and that information, what we are going to call it as DNA fingerprinting. So after which base should come. So after how many adenines or how many cytosines should be present, or how many thymine should be present, it is different in from one person to another person. That sequential order of that bases are different. So it is a very unique and miracle that only the basis of that sequential order, our DNA is going to differ from one another. I hope it is clear. So that is the sequential arrangement of bases that is responsible for the DNA, and that DNA is different from one person to another person. So that is what gives rise to an fingerprinting, DNA fingerprinting.